First off, I wanted to give a big round of applause to Yvette for giving me the honor to be here today and giving me the hardest job of the day. The hardest job of the day is going to be waking people up after lunch, because I'm sure we just had a whole bunch, and we added wine tasting to it to make it even more difficult, so that's a good deal. Okay, why are we here? Well, we're here to debug the Italian cloud, and I don't know how much of you know about rubber duck debugging. Does anybody know rubber duck debugging? A few people. We got a couple of developers in here. Okay. Well, basically, the whole idea behind QuackStack, our rubber duck that you found in your bag, was to give you something to help you in the implementation of CloudStack. Because rubber duck debugging gives you somebody to look at. When things aren't working, you can talk to them and walk through it. And it won't tell you you're wrong. He won't tell you have to do it this way. He'll just make you rethink things. And so it gives you kind of a sounding board, that rubber bounce off, to think about what you're doing. And believe it or not, it's actually very helpful in resolving problems. So put it on your desk. When you're writing code, talk to him. You'll find out that it works. He's pretty smart. Okay, so debugging our journey to the cloud, I want to thank John, because John, this morning, went over a whole bunch of the things, and a lot of it rings true exactly with what we're doing, Because when we started building our cloud in Italy, we started looking at, okay, well, we have to have residency in Italy. A lot of people talk about the European cloud. Well, what happens in Europe? If we take a look at GDPR and NIS2, they get done in Brussels by the European Cloud Department. And then they say they have to be adopted in the various countries. Well, what happens? I don't know about your country, but here in Italy, it comes down, and then Parliament starts fighting over about what else to put in it to make it better. And so what comes out in the end for the Italian companies isn't exactly the same as what's in Europe. So having that data inside Italy is a huge plus, because we can guarantee that you're under the regulations of Italy. How many of you heard about what happened with the Scottish police? Was it a month and a half ago? Anybody know? No, okay. A month and a half ago, the data protection officer in the Scottish Police Department said, okay, we're gonna do some data mapping, okay? All right, well, what do we use? Well, we use Microsoft 365, right? And so he went to Microsoft and he said, we'd like you to provide us the data mapping of our data, because under Scottish law, we are required to keep all of our information inside Scotland. It can't go out. We're the police. We have pretty sensitive information. And what did Microsoft say? Oh, okay, yeah, well, let's get back to that. And then they came back and they said, oh, I'm sorry, that's confidential information. We can't provide you with the data mapping of our services. And so the Scottish guy went, oh, goof. Went with his friends, had a pint of beer, came back and said, okay, well, make us a certification that says our data doesn't leave Scotland. And Microsoft said, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry, we can't do that. And so they went, oh, well, we're the police and we're breaking the law. Do we have to arrest ourselves? So that was kind of an interesting conversation, I'm sure, that they had inside. So they are abandoning Office 365, okay? And this is just an example of things that are happening, when people talking about repatriation from the cloud, it's because of things like this. And so when we went about trying to build our cloud platform, we were interested in that part, keeping it local, and having the control ourselves over it, Not having vendor lock-in, not having to worry about the provider we're using get bought by somebody else and changes his price, or changes the way licensing works, or saying you can't sell it anymore, and that's real stuff that's happening, So these are a few of the things that we looked into when we started debugging. How are we going to make our cloud, And so, well, we wanted to gain complete control of our infrastructure, We wanted to be the ones that were guiding and driving the infrastructure, deciding how it gets done, what gets used, what are the pieces. We wanted to be able to make those choices and guarantee that that data is here in Italy under Italian law, that they can actually write that on their contracts with their customers. Because that's a crucial point, because exactly what happened with the police in Scotland is going to be happening here in Italy. You know, more and more Italian companies are going to be going to their cloud provider saying, okay, can you guarantee that it remains in Italy? Yes, no. Oh yeah, we have a cloud region in Italy. Okay, well, can you guarantee that it stays there? Oh, well, you know, there's this thing called the Cloud Act in America that doesn't really make it so easy for us. Okay? How many of you know what the Cloud Act is? Okay, so it's a little bit more, yeah. Cloud Act is an American act that says the data from any company that's American, no matter where it is in the world, we can ask for it, in a nutshell. And Europe said, we don't like that. And so they actually made an agreement between the European Commission and America to kind of govern this transfer of data. And then what happened? You guys know what happened? No? Well, they elected some guy with kind of like orange hair in America, and he just decided to fire everybody that was on that committee. So in America, it doesn't exist anymore. It exists, but there's nobody there. Okay, so we have complete control over our data. We have the flexibility and independence to meet our customers' needs. And this was a big driver for us. You know, we're not buying a box that has certain features, and that's what you can do. We have a lot of customers that come to us, and we provide, you know, a consulting service. One of the things that, you know, John said earlier this morning was, you know, that consulting that we do with our customers is extremely important. And that for us meant being able to have the flexibility to meet their needs. And Marco's going to show you a couple cases. And we wanted to build a sustainable business. You know, we wanted to not be able to have some guy go, oh yeah, I just sold our company, VMware, to somebody else, and we're going to change your prices. And then after a year, we're going to say, ah, you know what, we don't like the white label market anymore, so why don't you just leave? You know, that's not something that's sustainable. And obviously, the end part is the most important, because every business, no matter what they say, is in business for that, to make money, okay? So that's what we wanted to do. And so we wanted to build something that wasn't just hype, but substance, you know? We took our data center, we have a tier 4 data centers in Milan and Rome, and we built a cloud platform inside using CloudStack. We, you know, tried a couple other things. CloudStack was the one that we liked. It had the simplicity of, you know, management and operations. You know, it had a good community behind it, you know, and that's what we chose. It was a high-performance platform, you know, that's expertly managed by our people. We've got a couple of the guys here. You want to come talk to them, find out what we do. You know, we have Ivan that's in here. We have Fabio, they're here. You know, they're the guys that actually, you know, are running the platform. 100% Italian, and to keep it prime and to keep it up. You know, keep it up time. That's one of our things. So we built the environment with the flexibility and the visibility and control. We've implemented some, you know, telemetry type services into it to make our own dashboards, because some of the reporting maybe and the visibility, we talked about it this morning. You know, somebody was saying that they're one of the areas that's going to, you know, going to be working on. So we did add some of that in ourselves, and that gives the flexibility to do that kind of thing when you're working in an open source model. And we wanted something that could, you know, completely be under our control, under our operations, our jurisdiction, no lock-in, and this is what we did with Apache CloudStack. And you know, the Apache CloudStack Foundation is what guarantees the openness of the platform, you know, the community, as the people have said. That's what drives it, that will get forward. Since when we started using CloudStack, how many releases have there been, guys? There's a whole bunch. I don't even know. I can't even count how many. You know, new features, new things coming out all the time. You know, that's very important to us. It gives us the, you know, the possibility to have the control and the flexibility to do what we want to do, to have a roadmap of new things that are coming out. So it's definitely been a great platform for that. Our architecture is a multi-zone architecture, as I said, Milan and Rome, you know, so those are 2 data centers you can see there, C21 and E100. That's where our platform is. It allows us to distribute, replicate, you know, we have services that you can transfer data from one to the other, you know, do the disaster recovery, and ensure that the customers that are using it can be compliant with those regulations. You know, GDPR, NIS2, you know, obligate you to be able to have recovery. You know, so being a multi-platform for us was extremely important. And obviously, give them a clear mapping. Your data is here. We'll give you the street address where the data center is. That's where your data are. And they don't go anywhere else. Okay? One of the key features that we really loved about CloudStack was being able to use multi-hypervisors. John mentioned this as well, because none of our customers were able to just completely abandon VMware. They all had some kind of appliance, some kind of software that, no, we only guarantee it works if you put it on VMware. No, this was several years ago. It's gotten better. It truly has. But that was a key driver for us, because we could tell the customers, okay, you put it on our platform, this is what the cost is going to be if you use KVM, this is what the cost is if you put it on VMware. You decide which workload goes where. You can migrate them back and forth. It's not a problem. CloudStack handles the networking in between them, so it doesn't matter which hypervisor you're using. It's just one platform, one management, and underneath you can put whatever fits your your needs the best, where you have that certification problems. And this was great because it gives you that maintained operation, unified operation model for us and for the customer, because that's one of the things that is extremely important. And obviously saving money is, one of the things John said, 50% less than AWS and Azure. Yeah, we do that too. It costs less. And it costs less, but it's also easy to control your costs. Because if I go and take a look, we offer, our offering is, you pay the CPU, you pay your RAM, you pay your disk space, primary disk space, secondary disk space for backup or whatever it is. That's it. We don't have hidden costs. There's no traffic costs. We're including, the IP addresses, the traffic, and what you pay is very easy to calculate. The customers know up front what they're going to do. It's on a pay-per-use model. You pay daily, or do we have daily price, not hourly? That would be a little bit too much for most of our customers. Daily model. But what happens? In Italy, we have something that's called the public administration. The public administration in Italy can't use a pay-per-use model. They have to have a contract with fixed costs. So we can give them a virtual data center with fixed costs. How many CPUs, how much RAM, how much disk space? That's your monthly fee. And we can do that in CloudStack. It's real easy. So this was the flexibility that made it extremely transparent for the customers. We don't have any upfront costs unless you want us to do the migration for you. Turn on the platform, it doesn't have a cost. Start using it, then you pay. Simple. Very easy to understand. Even I can understand that. And going beyond the benefits, this seamless data center integration from Milan and Rome gives the customers the possibility to be able to maintain their data in separate locations in case of disaster, to spin up machines in both locations. Some customers use only Rome. Some customers use only Milan. Some use both. They have the flexibility to decide. They do it all directly on the panel. Where do you want to deploy this? Milan, Rome, whichever zone you want, go for it. We offer a white labeling service where you can bring your own IP addresses. So we can give you a white labeled portal with your own IP addresses, and you have your own cloud service. Customers don't know that CDLAN is behind it. It's your logo, your panel, your IP addresses, because you're a provider. We can do an interconnection and hand off the traffic to you, so it even uses your peering, your transit. That's extremely appetizing to a lot of our customers, and we have several that use that. The automation, all the APIs, I heard that mentioned before, extremely important, gives the customer the flexibility to do what they want. The backup disaster recovery we already talked about. We've integrated advanced security with the networking firewalls, so it's a fully complete platform and very flexible. Debugging this, what have we done? We also offer 24-hour expert assistance. You have a problem, we're there. Something happens, we monitor proactively. We have the competence. The guys that are here, if you want to come talk to them, they're much more in-depth than I am about all this kind of stuff. I just, cover the basics. They do the real job. We offer the, consulting. How do you want to set it up? What do you want to do? That's what Marco's here. He's going to talk about now with a couple of our customers, what we've done. And also, if you want, we have a managed service provider line. We can handle the VMs for you. You want us to take care of, all the patching and the management of the VMs. You don't have to worry about that. We do that too. so you can focus on your core. You focus on your business. You focus on, how your applications, are going to be mapped into. Leave the infrastructure to us. That's what our goal is, and that was the result of our debugging. So Marco.
Thank you.
Off to you.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Some example of how we worked with our customers, and we got 3 examples over the world customers. The first one it's a cloud products provider. The second one is data intensive client, we will see, and after that the pharmaceutical company, because pharmaceutical has a special regulation that they have to follow over the normal regulation. Okay, the first one, it's a cloud provider. This company starts in a normal way, providing PBX on-prem for each customer, but after that, they evolve the vision to the cloud. And they have the first problem, need to deploy high volume of small footprint virtual machines, because each virtual machine is a PBX dedicated for a customer. And, but they also run contact center services that have some special regulation. If you got call registration, call recording, it's an issue. Your customer want to know where the recording are, and which is the issue. They can go on the hyperscalers. It's quite simple, but it's with unpredictable cost, reached model. They've got to have a flexible model of deploying the virtual machine. And after that doesn't fit specific use cases and service evolution. And they got uncertainty regarding data location, again, for regulatory and special needs. And they need a cost-effective, highly scalable and reliable platform where they spin their core business. And okay, which is our support. With CloudStack, CDLAN provides an elastic platform with the true paper model user. As said by Brian, it's okay, virtual CPU, the only thing that depends is virtual CPU, RAM, and disk. And so, which is the impact we have with the customers. They require the scale and cost effectiveness for their growth. So each time they need a new virtual machine, they know how to pay. And data sovereignty, because all data is in Italy, and they can see the devices if they want. They can see. Oops, sorry. They can see the devices where the data lies, and they see this is very important. They automate the deployment of the PBX using the API, and after that. They can, oh my God, okay, I try this way. Sorry, I try this way. And they can have the ability to focus on their business, avoiding to think how to implement the virtual machine and the PBX. Okay. The second customer, it was the customer I called for the Monster VM, with a Monster VM problem. I remember it was the first activity I followed when I joined the CDLAN team about 2 years ago. And they want VMs with a huge amount of RAM. And they weren't able to find any provider that can help them providing this kind of virtual machine. The only way was the hyperscaler. We have the usual 2 problems. First of one is cost, in some predictable cost regarding the spinning of this virtual machine. And the other one that they worked on financial data of customer, and they need sovereignty regarding the location of the data. And so they need a cloud provider that grant the possibility to spin up such huge virtual machine, granting data sovereignty, so certain location of the data. And okay, in this case, we worked, I remember we worked to create finally dedicated, some sort of dedicated server to help them to spin this virtual machine, granting them the performance regarding the analysis of financial data. It was also CPU intensive, also that's RAM intensive. And after that, data sovereignty, okay, of course, because all data is in Italian, and again, they can see where the data resides. And after that, we support that in the migration of the VM, because they start from a virtual machine model, and we help them convert to KVM. And finally, the pharmaceutical company. overdone GDPR and NIS, pharmaceutical company have to face some special regulation, such the data integrity. I don't know if someone have faced the data integrity, but it's quite complicated to face and to fit. And they were used to have internal data center that they operate. But this specific company faced the problem to change the data center, and they don't want to face a rebuild of on-premise data center, and so they try to find a solution in the hyperscaler, but they've got the usual two issues. The first is some practical cost, and the second one is regarding some internal regulation that cannot be fit by the hyperscaler. And in this case, we help them also granting a set of certification and help them mainly in the first phase of the project to face all the security and all the internal audits to grant that the infrastructure is compliant with the requirements. Okay, I leave you to close the.
Yeah. So. Before I close, I just wanted to thank the Storpool guys for the fantastic glasses, so I don't have the sun in my eyes. And this is a tradition that I've brought on from Madrid, so I did it again this year. Thank you, guys. Basically, what we're doing is we're giving you the possibility to, future-proof the infrastructure, because we can guarantee you that there's not going to be someone that tells us that we can't do that anymore, someone that tells us it's going to cost more, so your costs are going to go up. Obviously, we can't predict how much the energy is going to cost, so that could take but that's something that's measurable, it's demonstratable, and it's, kind of under control. Sometimes prices go up, but we can give you that future-proof infrastructure, multi-hypervisor, and guarantee you a way to grow and go forward, and that gives you the power and the control and the flexibility to drive your business. This is what we're trying to offer, and we're offering our customers. We give you that true digital sovereignty. The data we can put down exactly in the contracts that we do. We put in a contract, where is your data? You know where your data is. The address is there. And we can also do the strategic partnership. So we are there to help you onboarding, helping you design, how do I want to do the microservices? I was talking to somebody before, when you move to CloudStack from maybe an on-premise platform, it's a little bit different. Networking is a little bit different. Things are a little bit different. CloudStack is a cloud platform. It's not a virtualization platform. Some of the logic needs to be explained to the customer, to make them understand what's the best way to create the VMs and what's the best way to do the networking. And so we're able there to create this partnership with you to help you. Give us a call. The guys that are in here, they're the ones that'll answer you on the phone and help you, and guide you. How do I do this? We do that with our customers, and that helps them adopt the platform and gain control and be able to, think about business. That's what our key point is to our customers. You think about business. Let us take care of what's under the hood. They were talking about the kids nowadays. They don't know what's under the hood. Well, with CDLAN, we know what's under the hood, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay. And so come visit our booth. We get you one of these great t-shirts if you haven't got one already. I hope you wear a large size, because some of them in the smaller sizes are sold out, but come get one. If it's too big, use it to sleep in. I don't know. And we're also offering a special offer here for the customers that have participated in our talk. We could give you a 50 euro voucher. We'll onboard you on the platform. We'll give you 50 euros of credit. You can play with it, see how you like it. So that's a great, interesting session. If you want to do a consultation with us, we're here. We can dedicate you some time here at the event, but we're also, open to, sit down and talk at a later date. Make an appointment with us. Come explore the platform. Come contact us, and obviously keep it prime and keep it up.